Tuesday morning. She had worked a double shift at the hospital. 16 hours on her feet, caring for patients, calming families, doing the work she had devoted her life to for 12 years. Her back ached. Her eyes burned. All she wanted was a hot shower, her soft bed, and maybe a few hours of sleep before starting it all over again. But Trevor's car was in the driveway. That was strange. He should have left for work an hour ago. Simone grabbed her bag and walked to the front door. She noticed the living room curtains were open. Trevor always closed them before leaving. Her stomach tightened, though she told herself it was nothing. Maybe he was sick. Maybe he had taken the day off. She unlocked the door and stepped inside. Trevor was sitting on the couch. He was dressed in slacks and a button-down shirt, like he was ready for a meeting rather than a sick day. His hands were folded in his lap. His face was blank. "Trevor?" Simone set her bag down slowly. "What's going on? Why aren't you at work?" He looked at her the way someone looks at a stranger on the street. No warmth. No recognition of the woman he had been married to for 8 years. The woman who had held his hand at his father's funeral. The woman who had supported him through 2 job losses. The woman who had loved him with everything she had. "Sit down, Simone." His voice was flat. Cold. Simone's heart began to pound. She didn't sit. She stood frozen by the door, her nurse's instincts screaming that something was very wrong. "Just tell me what's happening." Trevor stood up. He walked to the window and looked outside, his back to her. "I want you to leave." The words didn't make sense. Simone blinked. "What do you mean leave? Leave where?" "Leave this house." He turned around. His jaw was tight. "Pack your things and go. You have 1 hour." Simone felt the floor tilt beneath her feet. "Trevor, I don't understand. What are you talking about? Did something happen? Are you in trouble?" "I'm not in trouble." He almost laughed. "Actually, I've never been more clear about anything in my life." He took a step toward her. His eyes were hard. "I've been seeing someone else for over a year. Her name is Brittany. I love her. And she's moving in today." Simone's travel mug slipped from her hand and hit the floor. Coffee splashed across the hardwood she had polished just last week. She didn't notice. She couldn't feel anything. Her entire body had gone numb. "You, what? You heard me." Trevor's voice had no guilt. No shame. "This marriage has been dead for a long time. You know it as well as I do. We're just roommates at this point. I deserve to be happy, Simone. I deserve to be with someone who actually makes me feel alive." Simone's chest was so tight she could barely breathe. A year. He had been lying to her face for a year. Every kiss. Every, "I love you." Every time he said he was working late. All lies. "Trevor, we can talk about this." Her voice cracked. She hated how desperate she sounded. "If you're unhappy, we can go to counseling. We can work on things. Please just..." "There's nothing to work on." He cut her off like she was wasting his time. "I don't love you anymore. I don't know if I ever really did." The cruelty of those words hit her like a physical blow. 8 years. 8 years of her life, and he didn't know if he ever loved her? Tears spilled down Simone's cheeks. She wiped them away angrily, but more came. She had given this man everything. She had put his needs before her own over and over again. She had turned down a promotion last year because it would have required travel, and Trevor said he needed her home. And now he was throwing her away like garbage. "You can't do this." Her voice was stronger now, fueled by rising anger. "This is my home too. You can't just kick me out." Trevor smiled. It was the most chilling thing she had ever seen. "Actually, I can. I'm the one who pays the mortgage. I'm the one whose name is on the accounts. You want to fight me on this? Fine. But you'll lose. And it'll be ugly." He looked at his watch. "You now have 52 minutes. I suggest you start packing." Simone stood there shaking. Her mind raced through options. Call the police? Call a lawyer? But Trevor was right about one thing: he controlled the money. He always had. She had let him handle the finances because he said it was easier that way. She had trusted him. She had been a fool. "Where am I supposed to go?" she whispered. Trevor shrugged. "That's not my problem anymore." He walked past her toward the kitchen, pulling out his phone. She heard him say, "Hey baby, she's packing now. Should be out of here within the hour. Can't wait to see you, baby." He called that woman baby right in front of her. Something inside Simone cracked. Not broke, cracked. Because broken things fall apart, and she refused to fall apart. Not here. Not in front of him. She walked to the bedroom on legs that felt like wood. She pulled out a suitcase and began to pack. Clothes, toiletries, the photo of her mother, her nursing licenses. She moved like a robot, disconnected from her own body. She could hear Trevor laughing on the phone downstairs. Laughing. While her entire world collapsed. 45 minutes later, Simone stood at the front door with one suitcase and her work bag. Trevor was back on the couch, scrolling through his phone, looking bored. Trevor. Her voice was steady now. Empty. I need to get the rest of my things. My grandmother's china. My books. I'll have them sent to wherever you end up. Just leave your key on the table. She stared at him. This stranger. This monster wearing her husband's face. Simone set the key down. She picked up her bags. She opened the door. And she walked out of her own home. Yolanda opened her apartment door at 8:30 in the morning to find her best friend standing there with a suitcase, mascara streaked down her face, and eyes that looked completely hollow. Simone? What happened? Simone opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her body began to shake. Yolanda grabbed her arm and pulled her inside, kicking the door shut behind them. Sit down. Right now. She guided Simone to the couch and sat beside her, holding both her hands. Tell me what happened. It took Simone 10 minutes to get the whole story out. She kept stopping, choking on tears, struggling to believe her own words. Yolanda listened without interrupting, her face getting harder with every sentence. When Simone finished, Yolanda stood up and started pacing. I'm going to kill him. Yolanda. No, I'm serious. I'm going to drive over there right now and... Stop. Simone's voice was tired. Please. I can't deal with any more drama right now. I just need to think. Yolanda took a deep breath. Then another. She sat back down. Okay, you're right. We need to be smart about this. She grabbed Simone's hands again. You're staying here. As long as you need. That's not up for discussion. Simone nodded weakly. Thank you. Now let's think. Did he actually kick you out legally? Or was that just him being a controlling monster? Simone shook her head. He said his name is on the accounts. He said he pays the mortgage. He said I'd lose if I fought him. Yolanda's eyes narrowed. And you just believed him? I don't know. He handles all the money stuff. He always said it was easier. Girl? Yolanda's voice was firm. You need to get your documents. All of them. Bank statements, house papers, everything. Do you have copies? Simone thought about it. Some. They're in my safe deposit box. Trevor doesn't have a key to that. Good. First thing tomorrow you go to that bank and you pull everything out. We need to see exactly what we're dealing with here. Simone nodded, but her heart wasn't in it. She felt so tired. So beaten down. Part of her just wanted to curl up in a ball and never move again. Yolanda seemed to read her mind. Listen to me. She put her hands on Simone's shoulders. I know this hurts. I know you feel like your whole world just ended. But you are one of the strongest women I know. You are not going to let that man destroy you. You hear me? Simone looked at her friend, the woman who had been by her side since college, through every up and down. Yolanda's eyes were fierce. Protective. Loving. I hear you, Simone whispered. Good. Now let's get you some tea and a hot bath. Tomorrow we fight. The next morning, Simone was at the bank when it opened. Her hands were shaking as she signed in and waited for the clerk to retrieve her safe deposit box. She carried the metal box to a private room and sat down. She took a deep breath. Then she opened it. Inside were her passport, her birth certificate, her nursing licenses, and a thick folder of documents. She pulled the folder out and began to go through it. Bank statements. Old tax returns. The title to her car. And then she saw it. A deed. For the house on Maple Street. Simone's hands froze. She stared at the paper, reading it once, twice, 3 times. The house was in her name. Only her name. She remembered now. Her grandmother had left her money when she passed away, $60,000. Simone had used it as a down payment on the house 2 years before she and Trevor even started dating. The house had been hers from the beginning. When they got married, Trevor had talked about adding his name to the deed. He said it would make things simpler. But somehow it never happened. There was always some reason to wait. First they were busy with the wedding. Then Trevor was between jobs. Then they just forgot. Except Simone hadn't forgotten. She had hesitated. Some small voice in the back of her mind had whispered to wait. To keep this one thing in her name alone. She had never told Trevor that she hesitated on purpose. She had told herself it wasn't a big deal, that they would get to it eventually, that it didn't mean she didn't trust him. But here was the truth sitting in her hands. The house was hers. Trevor didn't pay the mortgage. She did. The payment came out of her account every month, automatically. She had just never paid attention because Trevor handled the finances. But the account was in her name. The house was in her name. He had lied about all of it. Simone sat back in her chair, her mind spinning. He had lied. He had controlled her with lies. And she had let him because she trusted him. Because she loved him. Because she never thought he would use that trust to destroy her. But he had. And now, finally, she had the power to fight back. Simone carefully put all the documents back in the folder. She closed the safe deposit box and returned it to the clerk. She walked out of the bank into the morning sunlight, her legs feeling stronger with every step. She pulled out her phone and called Yolanda. "I found something. Something big." "What? Tell me." Simone took a deep breath. "The house is mine. It's been mine the whole time." He lied about everything. There was a pause. Then Yolanda let out a sound that was half laugh, half war cry. "Girl. Oh my God. Do you know what this means?" Simone looked up at the sky, feeling something she hadn't felt since yesterday morning. Something that felt almost like hope. "It means I'm going to take back what's mine." 2 days later, Simone sat in the office of Diane Preston, a family law attorney Yolanda had recommended. Diane was a small woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and silver hair pulled back in a tight bun. She had spent 30 years helping women in situations just like Simone's. And right now, she was looking at Simone's documents with a smile that was almost frightening. "Your husband is an idiot," Diane said. Simone blinked. "Excuse me? I'm sorry, that was unprofessional." Diane set the papers down. "Let me rephrase. Your husband made a very serious tactical error when he tried to claim ownership of this property." She tapped the deed. "This house is yours. Free and clear. He has no legal right to it whatsoever. In fact, by trying to force you out of your own property, he may have committed a crime." Simone felt a spark of something in her chest. "So I can go back?" "You can do more than go back." Diane leaned forward. "You can kick him out. And based on what you've told me about his girlfriend moving in, I suggest we do it quickly." Simone's heart was pounding. "How do we do it?" Diane smiled. "Leave that to me." The next morning, Simone stood outside her house on Maple Street with Diane, a locksmith, and 2 police officers. Her hands were trembling, but she kept her chin up. Trevor's car was gone. He was at work. "Okay," Diane said. "Let's begin." The locksmith changed all the locks in under an hour. While he worked, Simone walked through her house for the first time in 3 days. It looked different. Wrong. There were women's clothes in the closet that weren't hers. Expensive shoes. Makeup on the bathroom counter. Brittany had already moved in. Simone felt her stomach turn. This woman had been sleeping in her bed, wearing her robes, living in her house like she owned it. Not anymore. Simone. Diane appeared in the doorway. "The locksmith is done. Now, how would you like to handle his belongings?" Simone thought about it for exactly 2 seconds. "Pack everything. His and hers. Put it all outside." Diane nodded. "I'll call my moving team." By noon, the front lawn was covered with suitcases, boxes, and garbage bags full of Trevor's clothes, shoes, golf clubs, and every other trace of his existence in her home. Brittany's things were piled right next to them. Simone stood on her porch and looked at the pile. She thought she would feel satisfaction, triumph, but mostly she just felt tired. And sad. 8 years. All of it just garbage on the lawn. But it needed to happen. She knew that. She had to take her life back. At 5:47 p.m., Trevor's car pulled into the driveway. Simone watched from the living room window as he got out, staring at the pile of belongings with his mouth hanging open. Then his face twisted into rage. He stormed up to the front door and tried to open it. When his key didn't work, he started pounding. "Simone, open this door right now. Simone." She didn't move. She let him pound and scream for a full minute. Then she calmly walked to the door and opened it. Trevor's face was red, sweating, furious. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Simone held up the deed. "Taking back what's mine." He stared at the paper like it was written in another language. "What is that?" "It's the deed to this house. My house. In my name. Which I bought 2 years before I ever met you." Trevor's mouth opened and closed. No, that's not right. The house is in both our names." "No, Trevor. It's not. It never was. You just assumed. You assumed and you lied and you tried to throw me out of my own home." Simone's voice was steady. "Well, now you're the one who's leaving. You can't do this." He stepped toward her. "I have rights. I've lived here for..." "Sir." One of the police officers stepped forward. "I'm going to need you to step back." Trevor spun around, noticing the cops for the first time. His face went pale. "What is this?" Diane stepped onto the porch, holding a folder. "This is a formal notice requiring you to remove yourself and your belongings from this property immediately. If you refuse or attempt to enter the premises again, you will be arrested for trespassing." Trevor looked from Diane to the cops to Simone. His whole body was shaking. "This isn't over," he hissed. "I'll get a lawyer. I'll fight this." "That's your right," Diane said calmly. "But I should tell you, you have virtually no legal standing here. And any lawyer worth their license is going to tell you the same thing." Trevor stood there, fists clenched, veins bulging in his neck. For a moment, Simone thought he might explode. Then, slowly, his shoulders dropped. He looked at the pile of his things on the lawn. He looked at Simone, standing in the doorway of the house he thought he owned. "This isn't the woman I married," he said quietly. Simone met his eyes. "No," she said. "It's not. The woman you married trusted you. She believed in you. She would have given you everything." She took a breath. "You killed that woman when you threw her away like trash. So congratulations, Trevor. You did this to yourself." She stepped back into the house. "Goodbye." And she closed the door in his face. Trevor stood on the lawn for a long time after the door closed. The police officers watched him, waiting for him to do something stupid. But eventually he just started loading his things into his car. It took 4 trips. Some of it had to be left behind because it wouldn't fit. Simone watched from the window until he finally drove away. Then she sat down on the couch and cried for an hour. It was over. She had won. But it didn't feel like victory. It felt like grief. She was mourning the life she thought she had. The husband she thought she knew. The future that would never happen now. Yolanda came over that night with Chinese food and wine. "You did it," she said, raising her glass. "You showed that man the door. I am so proud of you." Simone tried to smile. "So why do I feel so terrible?" Yolanda set down her glass and took Simone's hands. "Because you're not a monster. Because you actually loved him. And finding out that he never deserved that love, that hurts. It's supposed to hurt." Simone nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "But listen to me," Yolanda continued. "This pain? It's not going to last forever. I know it feels like it will. But one day, and it might take a while, you're going to wake up and realize you don't hurt anymore. And that's when you'll know you're free." Simone wanted to believe her. She really did. Meanwhile, Trevor was learning just how much he had miscalculated. He moved in with Brittany, expecting sympathy and support. Instead, he found a 400-square-foot studio apartment with no closet space, a bathroom the size of a phone booth, and a girlfriend who was less than thrilled about the arrangement. "I thought we were getting the house," Brittany said on the second night, her voice tight. "We will. I just need to talk to a lawyer." "You said the house was yours." "It is mine. There's some kind of technicality. I'll figure it out." But he didn't figure it out. He talked to 3 different lawyers and they all told him the same thing. The house was in Simone's name. He had no claim to it. If he tried to fight it, he would lose and probably end up paying her legal fees on top of his own. Trevor felt the world closing in on him. He had been so sure of himself. So certain that he was in control. He had spent years managing the money, telling Simone what to do, making all the decisions. He thought he had all the power. But he had nothing. He had built his whole life on a house he didn't own and money that wasn't his. And now it was all gone. Brittany started picking fights every day. About the mess. About the money. About when he was going to get his life together. "This isn't what you promised me," she said one night. "You said we were going to have a beautiful house. You said we were going to travel. You said." "I know what I said." Trevor snapped. "Things changed, okay? It's not my fault." Brittany stared at him. "Then whose fault is it?" He didn't have an answer. Back on Maple Street, Simone was slowly finding her footing. The first week was the hardest. She couldn't sleep. She barely ate. She kept expecting to hear Trevor's key in the lock, his footsteps in the hall. The house felt too quiet. Too empty. But on the 8th day, her mother came to visit. Patricia was 72 years old, with silver hair, wise eyes, and a voice like warm honey. She had raised Simone alone after her father left when Simone was 3. She had worked 2 jobs to put her daughter through nursing school. She was the strongest person Simone knew. "Baby girl," Patricia said, wrapping her arms around her daughter. "I am so sorry this happened to you." Simone melted into her mother's embrace. "I feel like such a fool, Mama. How did I not see it?" Patricia pulled back and looked her in the eye. "Because you trusted him. Because you loved him. There's no shame in that, Simone. The shame belongs to him." He's the one who took your trust and spat on it. That's his sin, not yours. Simone nodded, wiping her eyes. Now, Patricia said, let's talk about what comes next. They sat at the kitchen table and Patricia listened while Simone talked through her situation. The divorce would be complicated. There were joint bank accounts, shared debts, years of financial entanglement to sort through. But the house was safe. That was the most important thing. What about your job? Patricia asked. I'm still working. I need the money, especially now. And what about your dream? Simone paused. She knew what her mother meant. Years ago, Simone had talked about opening her own home healthcare agency. She had the experience, the contacts, the vision. But Trevor had always found reasons to postpone it. Too risky. Bad timing. Maybe next year. Next year never came. I don't know, Mama. It feels like too much right now. Patricia reached across the table and took her daughter's hand. Baby girl, listen to me. That man held you back for 8 years. He kept you small because he was afraid you'd outshine him. Well, he's gone now. So the question is, are you going to keep holding yourself back? Or are you finally going to fly? Simone looked at her mother's face. Saw the faith there. The belief. Maybe she thought it was time to believe in herself too. The first thing Simone did was go through every room in her house. She threw out everything that reminded her of Trevor. The artwork he had chosen. The furniture he had insisted on. The bedroom set they had bought together. She donated all of it and replaced it with pieces she actually loved. Bright colors. Soft textures. Things that made her feel calm and happy when she looked at them. It took 2 weeks, but when she was done, the house finally felt like hers. Next, she tackled her finances. Diane, her lawyer, helped her separate all the joint accounts and understand exactly where she stood. The news was better than she expected. She had her salary, her savings, and no debt that was actually hers. Trevor, on the other hand, was drowning. He had credit cards maxed out, loans Simone didn't know about, and a lifestyle he couldn't actually afford. You're in a good position, Diane told her. Especially once the divorce is final. He'll be responsible for his own debts and you'll keep everything that's yours. Simone felt a weight lift off her shoulders. For years, she had let Trevor control the money because he said it was easier. Now she realized that it had never been about ease. It was about control. He kept her in the dark so she would depend on him. So she would be afraid to leave. Well, she wasn't afraid anymore. At work, Simone threw herself into her patients with renewed energy. She had always loved nursing. The chance to help people, to comfort them, to make their worst days a little bit better. Now she realized that caring for others had kept her going even when her own life was falling apart. But she also started thinking more seriously about her dream. A home healthcare agency. A business that would send skilled nurses to patients' homes, providing personalized, compassionate care. Simone knew there was a need for it. She had seen too many patients struggle with the impersonal, overstretched care they received after leaving the hospital. She knew she could do better. She started taking business classes at night through the community college. Accounting, marketing, management. It was exhausting working all day and studying all night, but it was also exciting. She was learning things she had always been afraid of. And she was good at it. Yolanda was her biggest cheerleader. Look at you, going back to school at 35, she said one night over dinner. I am in awe. Simone laughed. I'm terrified. Half the time I have no idea what I'm doing. That's how you know you're growing. Yolanda grinned. Comfort zone is for people who've given up. You're just getting started. Simone's mother was proud too. Your grandmother would be so happy to see this, Patricia said during one of their weekly phone calls. You're using her money exactly the way she would have wanted, to build something meaningful. Simone felt a glow of warmth at that. She had always been close to her grandmother. Knowing that the inheritance was now funding her new life, her real life, felt right somehow. 3 months after Trevor left, Simone got her first piece of mail addressed to her business name, Simone Carter Health Services. She had registered the company. It was official. She sat at her kitchen table holding that envelope and cried. But this time the tears were different. They weren't grief. They were hope. She was building something. Something that was completely, entirely hers. The house was starting to feel different too. It wasn't just a shelter anymore. It was a home. Simone bought plants for every room. She hung pictures of her mother, her grandmother, her friends. She got a small gray cat from the shelter and named him Earl after her grandfather. Every morning, she woke up in her quiet bedroom with Earl curled at her feet, and she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Trevor tried to contact her a few times during those months. Texts asking if they could talk. Emails claiming he wanted to apologize. She ignored all of them. There was nothing he could say that would change what he did. And she had no interest in giving him the chance to try. He was her past. She was focused on her future. Diane called in month 4 with an update on the divorce. "We've hit a bit of a snag," she said. "Trevor is dragging his feet on the financial disclosure. I think he's trying to hide something." Simone felt a flash of the old fear. "What do you mean? What could he be hiding?" "I'm not sure yet. But don't worry, we'll find it. These things always come out." Simone hung up the phone and took a deep breath. She wasn't going to let Trevor ruin her momentum. Whatever he was hiding, she would deal with it when the time came. For now, she had a business to build. And that night, for the first time in as long as she could remember, Simone went to bed feeling not just okay, but genuinely excited for what was coming next. 6 months after Trevor walked out of her life, Simone launched Simone Carter Health Services. It was a soft launch, just her and 2 nurses she had worked with for years, women she trusted completely. They started with 3 clients, all referrals from Simone's hospital contacts. The work was hard, the hours were long, and the profit margin was thin. But it was hers. Every morning, Simone woke up at 5 to answer emails and review care plans before heading to client visits. Every night, she stayed up late doing the books and planning for growth. She was exhausted all the time. But she was also happy. "I've never seen you like this," Yolanda said one Saturday when they met for brunch. "You're glowing." Simone laughed. "I'm running on 4 hours of sleep and pure stubbornness. That's called passion, girl. It looks good on you." The business grew faster than Simone expected. Word spread about the quality of care her team provided. Within 2 months, she had 5 clients. Then 8. Then 12. She hired another nurse. Then another. By month 3, she signed a contract with a local hospital to provide home care for their post-surgery patients. It was her first major deal, enough revenue to finally start paying herself a real salary. Simone celebrated by buying herself a new laptop to replace the ancient one she had been using. It felt like a luxury. It felt earned. But not everything was going smoothly. Diane called with news about the divorce. "I found out what he was hiding," she said. "And it's not good." Simone sat down, bracing herself. "Tell me." Trevor had opened 3 credit cards in her name without her knowledge. He had been using them for years, racking up over $40,000 in debt. Simone felt the air leave her lungs. "How is that possible? I never signed anything." "He forged your signature. We have proof." Diane's voice was calm but serious. "This is fraud, Simone. He committed a crime." Simone closed her eyes. $40,000. He had stolen $40,000 from her while smiling in her face and telling her he loved her. "What are my options? We can pursue criminal charges. Or we can use this as leverage in the divorce to make sure he's responsible for all of it, plus penalties. I recommend the second option. It's faster and you'll see actual money back." Simone nodded slowly. "Do it." When she hung up, she sat in silence for a long time. She thought she was done being surprised by Trevor's betrayal. She was wrong. But she wasn't going to let it break her. Not this time. She went back to work. Meanwhile, Trevor's life was falling apart. He was still living in Brittany's tiny apartment, but the cracks in their relationship had become canyons. Brittany was tired of his excuses, tired of his debt, tired of waiting for the life he had promised her. "You told me you were successful," she said one night, her voice cold. "You told me you were a man who had his life together. But you're a mess, Trevor. You can't even pay your share of the rent. I'm going through a divorce. You knew this was going to be hard. I knew you were leaving your wife. I didn't know you were leaving with nothing." She shook her head. "I didn't sign up for this." Trevor could feel her slipping away. The woman he had thrown his marriage away for was looking at him like he was a disappointment. Like he was a mistake. At work, things weren't much better. His performance had dropped. He missed deadlines. Showed up late. His boss called him in for a warning. Everything he had built was crumbling. And the worst part? He couldn't stop thinking about Simone. He had started following her on social media, watching from a distance as she posted about her new business. He saw photos of her at community events, testimonials from grateful clients, pictures of her with her team, smiling, looking more alive than she ever had with him. She was thriving, and he was the one who had thrown her away. Back on Maple Street, Simone was preparing for her company's first major milestone, a feature in a local business magazine. The reporter came to her home office, the spare bedroom she had converted, and interviewed her for 2 hours. They talked about her background as a nurse, her vision for the company, the challenges of starting a business as a single woman of 35. Simone didn't mention Trevor by name, but she talked about overcoming obstacles, about refusing to let other people define her limits, about betting on herself even when she was scared. The article came out a week later. The headline read, "Local Nurse Builds Healthcare Business from the Ground Up." There was a photo of Simone in her office, looking confident and professional. She bought 10 copies. That night her phone rang. It was a number she didn't recognize. "Simone Carter? My name is Gloria Hampton. I'm the Director of Patient Services at Mercy General Hospital. I read your article and I'd like to discuss a partnership opportunity." Simone gripped the phone, her heart pounding. "I would love that." The meeting with Gloria Hampton changed everything. Mercy General was one of the largest hospitals in the region, and they needed a home health care partner they could trust. Gloria had tried 2 other agencies before finding Simone's article, and neither had worked out. She was looking for someone with high standards, attention to detail, and a genuine commitment to patient care. Simone was all of those things. The contract took 3 weeks to negotiate. When it was signed, Simone sat in her car outside the hospital and stared at the document in her hands. This deal would triple her business. She would need to hire 5 new nurses immediately. She would need a real office. She had done it. She called her mother first, then Yolanda. Both of them screamed so loud she had to hold the phone away from her ear. The next month was chaos, in the best possible way. Simone rented a small office space downtown. She interviewed and hired 7 new nurses. She developed training programs, care protocols, and quality assurance systems. She worked 18-hour days and loved every minute of it. It was during this time that she met Raymond. He was the contractor her landlord hired to renovate the office space. Tall, with warm brown skin, kind eyes, and hands that looked like they had done real work. He showed up on the first day with a tool belt, a thermos of coffee, and a quiet smile. "You must be the new tenant," he said. "I'm Raymond. I'll be doing your build-out." Simone shook his hand. "Nice to meet you. I'm Simone." "I know." He held up a clipboard with her name on the work order. "I did my homework." She laughed. He smiled. Over the next 2 weeks, Raymond was at the office every day. He was professional and efficient, but he was also easy to talk to. He asked about her business and actually listened to the answers. He told her about his own company, a small construction firm he had started after years of working for someone else. "I got tired of building other people's dreams," he said one afternoon. "Figured it was time to build my own." Simone felt a spark of recognition. "I know exactly what you mean." They started having lunch together. Then coffee. Then dinner. Raymond was nothing like Trevor. He didn't try to impress her with flash or charm. He was just himself, steady, honest, and kind. He asked about her day and remembered what she said. He showed up when he said he would. He made her laugh. Simone was careful. She wasn't looking for love. She wasn't sure she was ready for it. But being around Raymond felt good. Easy. Like she didn't have to pretend to be anything she wasn't. "I like him," Yolanda said after meeting Raymond for the first time. "He's got good energy. Solid." "We're just friends," Simone said. Yolanda raised an eyebrow. "Girl, I saw the way he looks at you. That man is not thinking about friendship." Simone blushed and changed the subject. But Yolanda wasn't wrong. Raymond asked her out properly a few weeks later, dinner at a nice restaurant, the whole thing. Simone said yes. The date was wonderful. They talked for 3 hours about their families, their dreams, their failures. Raymond had been married once before in his 20s. It ended badly, but he didn't speak bitterly about it. He just said he had learned a lot about who he wanted to be and what he wanted in a partner. At the end of the night, he walked her to her car and didn't try to kiss her. "I had a great time," he said. "I'd love to do it again if you're interested." Simone smiled. "I'm interested." They started dating officially, taking it slow. Simone was honest with him about where she was coming from, the fresh divorce, the rebuilding, the wall she still had up. Raymond understood. "I'm not going anywhere," he said. "Take whatever time you need." Back in his crumbling life, Trevor saw everything. He still checked Simone's social media obsessively, and one night he saw a photo that made his stomach drop. Simone at a restaurant, smiling, sitting next to a man. The caption said, "Great night with this one." Trevor felt something he hadn't expected. Jealousy. Real, bitter, burning jealousy. She had moved on. She was happy. She was with someone else. And he was still stuck in Brittany's tiny apartment, drowning in debt, watching his life fall apart. That night, he and Brittany had their worst fight yet. It ended with her telling him to find somewhere else to sleep. He drove around for an hour before finally checking into a cheap motel. Lying on the stiff bed, staring at the water-stained ceiling, Trevor finally realized the truth. He had made the biggest mistake of his life. And there was no fixing it. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday afternoon. Simone sat in Diane's office, signing the last papers, feeling strangely calm. She thought this moment would feel bigger somehow. More dramatic. But it was just quiet. Final. "Congratulations," Diane said. "You're officially free." The settlement was better than Simone had hoped. Trevor was held responsible for all the fraudulent debt, the credit cards he had opened in her name, the loans he had hidden. He was ordered to pay her back in full, plus penalties. He got nothing from the house and nothing from her business. Everything she had built was protected. "What happens if he doesn't pay?" Simone asked. "Then we garnish his wages. We can also report him for the fraud, which could mean criminal charges." Diane smiled. "He'll pay. Trust me." Simone nodded. She didn't feel vindictive. She didn't want Trevor to suffer. She just wanted what was hers. And now she had it. She left Diane's office and walked to her car, holding the divorce decree in her hand. The sun was shining. The air was warm. She stood there for a moment, breathing it in. Then she called Raymond. "It's done," she said. "How do you feel?" Simone thought about it. Free. That night, Raymond took her out to celebrate. Nothing fancy, just a little Italian place they both loved, with red checkered tablecloths and candles on the tables. They ate pasta and drank wine and talked about everything except Trevor. At the end of the night, Raymond took her hands across the table. "I know you've been through a lot this year," he said. "And I know you're still healing. But I want you to know something." Simone looked at him, her heart beating faster. "You are one of the most incredible women I've ever met. The way you've handled everything, the strength, the grace, the determination, it's inspiring. And I'm grateful every day that I get to know you." Simone felt tears prick her eyes. "Raymond, I'm not saying this to pressure you. I just want you to hear it. You deserve to know how special you are." She reached across the table and touched his face. "Thank you," she whispered. "For seeing me." He smiled. "That's the easy part." Meanwhile, Trevor's world continued to collapse. The divorce settlement hit him like a truck. He owed Simone tens of thousands of dollars he didn't have. His credit was destroyed. His wages would be garnished until the debt was paid. And Brittany was done. She had told him to leave 3 weeks before the divorce was finalized. She said she couldn't do it anymore. The stress, the fighting, the broken promises. She needed to move on. Trevor moved into a small apartment on the edge of town, the cheapest place he could find. It was dark and cramped and smelled like mold. He sat on the bare mattress on the floor and stared at the walls, trying to understand how he had ended up here. He had been so sure he was making the right choice. Brittany had made him feel alive, desired, important. She had made him feel like more than just a husband and a provider. She had made him feel special. But it was all an illusion. As soon as the money disappeared, so did she. And Simone, the woman he had thrown away, the woman he had called boring and predictable, she was the one who had been real. She had loved him for who he was, not what he could give her. And he had destroyed it. Trevor thought about calling her, apologizing, begging for another chance. But every time he picked up the phone, he stopped himself. What would he even say? She had won. She had the house, the business, the new boyfriend. She had everything. And he had nothing. Back at Simone's house, life was full and good. Her business now had 12 nurses and a waiting list of clients. She had been featured in 2 more articles and received a small business award from the mayor's office. She was thinking about expanding to a second location. Her relationship with Raymond was growing too. They weren't rushing anything, but they spent most weekends together now. He had met her mother, who approved. He had fixed the wobbly railing on her porch and refused to accept payment. He was solid and good and real. For the first time in years, Simone looked forward to the future. One evening, she was sitting on her porch with a glass of wine, watching the sun go down, when her phone buzzed. It was a text from a number she didn't recognize. "I know I have no right to ask this, but can we talk? Trevor." Simone stared at the message for a long moment. Then she deleted it without responding. She didn't owe him anything. Not her time. Not her energy. Not her peace. She took another sip of wine and watched the sky turn pink and gold. This was her life now. And it was beautiful. 1 month later, Trevor showed up at her door. Simone had just come home from work. She was tired but satisfied. The hospital contract was going well, and she had just hired 2 more nurses. She was thinking about what to make for dinner when she saw his car in the driveway. Her stomach tightened. For a moment, she considered driving away. Going to Yolanda's. avoiding whatever this was about to be. But no, she wasn't going to run. Not from him. Not anymore. She parked behind his car and got out. He was standing on the porch, looking uncertain. Smaller than she remembered. Simone. His voice was rough. Thank you for not calling the cops. What do you want, Trevor? He swallowed. Can we talk? Just for a minute. Please. She considered saying no. She had every right. But part of her wanted to hear what he had to say. Part of her needed to close this door herself. Fine. 1 minute. She unlocked the front door and led him into the living room. He looked around at the new furniture, the new colors, the new life she had built in the space they once shared. She saw his face fall. It looks different. That was the point. She didn't offer him a seat. She stood by the window, arms crossed, waiting. Trevor took a breath. I made a mistake, Simone. The biggest mistake of my life. I know that now. I know it every single day. She didn't respond. Brittany and I, it's over. It's been over for a while. She wasn't you. She never was. Simone felt her jaw tighten. So now that she's gone, you come crawling back. No, it's not like that. I've been thinking about this for months. About us. About what I threw away. His eyes were wet. I loved you, Simone. I know I didn't act like it, but I did. And I hate myself for what I did to us. Simone looked at this man she had slept next to for 8 years, this man she had trusted with her whole heart, and felt almost nothing. The anger was gone. The hurt was fading. All that was left was a vague sadness for the person she used to be. Trevor, she said quietly, do you know why I stayed with you for so long? He shook his head. Because I believed in the version of you that you showed me. The man who was smart and ambitious and loved me. I believed in that man with everything I had. She took a step closer. But that man was a lie. The real you, the man who cheated on his wife for a year, who stole money from her, who kicked her out of her own home so he could move in his girlfriend, that's who you actually are. Trevor flinched like she had hit him. I'm not angry at you anymore, Simone said. I was, for a long time. But now I'm just done. You taught me the most important lesson of my life, that I can only count on myself. That I'm strong enough to survive anything. So thank you for that, I guess. She walked to the front door and opened it. But we're never getting back together. Not now. Not ever. What you broke can't be fixed. I don't want it to be fixed. Trevor stood there, tears running down his face. I'm so sorry, he whispered. Simone looked at him steadily. I know you are. But that doesn't change anything. She waited by the open door. Trevor wiped his face. He took one last look around the house he had lost, the life he had destroyed, and walked out. Simone closed the door behind him. She leaned against it for a moment, breathing slowly. Then she smiled. It was over. Really, truly over. She had said everything she needed to say. She had stood in her power and refused to give him an inch. She was free. That night, Raymond came over with takeout and a bottle of champagne. I heard you had a visitor today, he said. Yolanda must have told him. I did. You okay? Simone looked at this man, this good, patient, honest man who never made her feel small, and felt her heart open. Yeah, she said. I really am. He poured the champagne and raised his glass. To closing chapters. Simone clinked her glass against his. And to everything that comes next. 1 year after Trevor walked out of her life, Simone threw a party. It was the 1-year anniversary of Simone Carter Health Services, and she wanted to celebrate with everyone who had helped her get there. She rented out a beautiful event space downtown, all white walls and big windows and soft natural light, and invited 50 people, her staff, her clients, her friends, her mother, and Raymond, who was now officially her boyfriend. They had taken it slow just like he promised. There was no rush, no pressure, no games. Just 2 people getting to know each other, building trust, falling in love the right way. Simone had never been happier. The party was perfect. There was good food, good music, and a room full of people who genuinely cared about her success. Simone gave a short speech thanking everyone, and by the end, half the room was crying. I couldn't have done this without you, she said, looking at Yolanda and her mother. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And that made all the difference. After the speech, her mother pulled her aside. Baby girl, your grandmother is smiling down on you right now. I know it. Simone hugged her tight. I hope so, Mama. The party wound down around 10 o'clock. Simone said goodbye to the last guests and stood in the empty room, looking around at the remnants of the celebration. Champagne glasses. Flower petals. Crumbs of cake. 1 year ago, she had been standing in her own living room, being told to pack her things and leave. She had felt worthless, disposable, like her whole life was ending. Now look at her. Raymond came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. "Proud of you," he murmured. She leaned back into him. "Thank you for being here. Nowhere else I'd rather be." They stayed like that for a moment, just breathing together. Then Simone turned around and looked at him. "I love you," she said. It was the first time she had said it. She had been scared to say it before, scared of what it would mean, scared of being hurt again. But she wasn't scared anymore. Raymond smiled. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. "I love you too." He kissed her softly, and Simone felt something settle in her chest. Certainty. Oh. The next morning, Simone went to her office early to catch up on some paperwork. She was sorting through the mail when she found a letter addressed to her. No return address, handwritten envelope. She opened it. "Dear Simone, I hope this letter finds you well. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from. I'm not even sure why I'm writing. Maybe just to say I'm sorry. Trevor and I are done. Have been for a long time. I won't pretend it wasn't my fault too. What we did to you was wrong. I knew he was married. I didn't care. I thought I was special. I thought he loved me. I was a fool. I'm in a bad place now. Lost my job. Can't pay my rent. I saw online that your company is hiring nurses, and I thought maybe, I don't know, maybe you could find it in your heart to help me. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking anyway. Brittany." Simone read the letter twice. Then she put it in the shredder. She didn't feel guilty. She didn't feel conflicted. Brittany had made her choices, and those choices had consequences. Simone was not obligated to save anyone who had helped tear her life apart. Some doors deserved to stay closed. That evening, Simone drove home and poured herself a glass of wine. She walked out onto the porch and sat in the chair her grandmother used to love, an old wooden rocker she had kept all these years. The sun was setting, painting the sky in soft blues and pinks. Earl the cat jumped into her lap and purred. The neighborhood was quiet and peaceful. Simone thought about everything she had been through in the past year. The betrayal. The devastation. The slow, painful work of putting herself back together piece by piece. She thought about all the times she wanted to give up and all the reasons she didn't. She had lost a marriage, but she had found herself. She had lost a husband, but she had built a company. She had been thrown away like trash, and she had turned that trash into gold. Her phone buzzed. A text from Raymond. "On my way. Bringing dinner. Love you." Simone smiled and texted back. "Love you too. Doors open." She set the phone down and looked out at the fading light. Somewhere across town, Trevor was probably sitting in his sad little apartment, thinking about everything he had lost. Somewhere else, Brittany was struggling to survive the mess she had helped create. But Simone wasn't thinking about them. Not really. They were part of her past, and she had stopped living there a long time ago. She was thinking about tomorrow, about next month, about next year, about all the things she was going to build, all the people she was going to help, all the life she still had ahead of her. It was going to be beautiful. She knew that now. And sitting there on her porch in her house with her cat in her lap and her love on the way,